Hi, welcome everybody to the World of Dragons podcast, a podcast where a dragon and his rider get together to discover, review, and discuss dragon-centric media and literature, including but not limited to books, movies, shows, and games, to help you dragon fans find the next world of dragons you wish to visit.
Wow, that was flawless. It's almost like you wrote it down.
Yeah, it's almost like I finally relented and wrote down the intro so I stopped stumbling over it. Or I just got super really good at doing it.
You know what? I think it might be that you got super really good
Let's
at
go with
doing
that.
it. Yeah.
Dragons never admit to their handicaps.
Correct.
One thought about the intro, though, it's like, we keep referring to everyone as listeners, which is fine. It's very generic for podcasts. But it's like, if we could come up with a term, you know how a lot of fandoms have a term for their fans?
Like Swifties and, yeah.
I just know, like, for 30 Seconds to Mars, their fans are called the Echelon. Disturbed are called the Disturbed Ones.
Yeah, and Taylor Swift fans are called Swifties.
Yeah, I did.
And
too.
Beyonce's are the Beehive.
The Beehive?
Yeah, because Bey and Bee and Queen Bee.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yes, like if we could come up with one for our listeners, that'd be great. My initial, reflex is minions, but I think a lot
Hatchlings?
of... Hatchlings really sounds like we're calling them children, though.
Well, because, we're educating them.
Alright, gather up, hatchlings. Listen to Uncle Ray and Uncle Bantam.
It would be Daddy Ray and Uncle Bantam.
Daddy Ray and Uncle Bantam tell you about this other magical world that maybe one day will let you go through the portal, but it's very dangerous because there's dragon slayers there, so be careful. Yeah, but like I said, my first thought was minions, but as I was saying, most of our, or maybe not most, but a good deal of our listeners, I think actually, even if just for fun, self-identify as dragons, they have dragon personas online, that kind of like how we do, technically, right? So I don't know if they appreciate being called minions.
You can call them the kobolds.
Oh. You're all kobolds now. You've all been
You're all
to
kobolds.
Kobold. Alright, anyway.
I mean, to me, that's a promotion. Kobolds are great.
Random behind-the-scenes tangent aside. Hi, everybody. Hey, I never actually introduced myself. I'm Ray, by the way. I'm Daddy Ray, apparently.
And I am Uncle Bantam, apparently.
Yeah, because he's only a half-breed, so he only gets to be uncle. But yeah, so this week we're doing a movie, big quotation marks, finally. Not italicized, finally, because Bantam has been asking for it. He's tired of books. He likes books. He's learning.
I'm getting into books.
He's being Stockholmed into liking books.
I'm being Stockholmed into liking books. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Dilettante. We told Dilettante we were doing movies. And you didn't invite me. And we're like, well, watch the movie. You got time. When are you recording? Tonight, like usual. Oh, I can't make it. It was just it's fine not to razz him too much. His work is getting in the way. So things happen, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, because Terrence says that we're slowly forcing me to enjoy reading words. That's not true. I'm enjoying books in the sense of the stories within them, but I highly still prefer audiobooks and not reading physical books. Reading physical books is still painful to me. I hate it, and I won't do it.
Good thing we're doing it next time. But we'll get into that in the later half when we announce next week. But yeah, did we say... I said movie. Did I give the name of the movie?
No.
So it's Damsel. It's a new Netflix original, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a dragon movie in the sense that there is a dragon in it. In the spirit of letting the dragon fans know what they're in for, the dragon is antagonistic, but the dragon does survive at the end. And
the dragon is intelligent. It speaks. It is a major character throughout the book.
Yeah.
Or movie. I meant.
Yeah. Look, it's happening. It's books. So yeah, people who join us for the first time, if there are any of you, the way we do the show is during the first bit, 20-ish minutes. Usually, it depends on how much we have to go over. It's spoiler-free discussion, reviewing, talking about the storyline, how much we agree with it, the characters. If it's a book, it's its writing style. If it's a movie, we'll talk about the sound and the graphics. And then we'll have a small break, and then we come back and we just have a spoiler-filled discussion where it's just us two dragon nerds kind of just discussing what we liked and didn't like, how we felt about the story, and some of its twists and turns and all that.
And I got a lot to say about that.
I got a lot to say about it too.
And I got a lot. I just for the rest of this episode, imagine me hugging the DVD case to my chest protectively while Ray tries to destroy it.
Yeah, because if I get my claws on it, it's getting tossed into the fire. I overall did not enjoy it. I'll get into its particular reasons why in a bit as we go through each of the different topics, I guess. I don't know. Categories. But yeah.
I'm literally picturing me being what's his face in the beginning of the Lord of the Rings movie, and you're like, except instead of a ring, it's the DVD, and you're like, cast it into the fire, and I'm like, no, Isildur.
I was there 10,000 years ago when Bantam defended bad dragon movies. Alright, anyway, so I'm just looking at my outline here. I gotta bend around my microphone to see that it's blocking my monitor. Right, so a really, really brief synopsis not to go too in depth because of spoilers. The main storyline is it's called Damsel because it's taking the trope of dragons kidnapping princesses. There is a princess who is beset upon by the dragon. The dragon's trying to kill her for reasons that get revealed through the story. And so a lot of it is her just running, hiding, trying to survive. It's all... I'm going to call it torture porn just because Bantam keeps liking it to the remakes of
It is basically
Raider.
the newest trilogy of Tomb Raider, where like you see a girl who is based in reality, a real human being, going through things that would have killed anybody else 100 times over, and she is you start off wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and by the end of it you're wearing scraps of clothing and you're grizzled and hardened and covered in scars.
Yeah. Yes, it's how much physical trauma can we induce upon someone before it makes the audience uncomfortable. It's like the entire first half or 3/4 of the movie.
Throughout several points of the movie, I kept turning around because Ray watched it in my room with me, and I kept turning around and going, "My God, it's literally fucking medieval Lara Croft."
Yeah, so it is a girl boss story because it's a princess that ends up becoming girl boss. I'm just gonna stick with the term because she ends up saving the day at the end, and yeah, it's. That's kind of the general synopsis.
Longtime listeners will know that one of the things that I hate the most is tropes. I understand that tropes are necessary because, if you have
it's how you can give a whole lot of context in very little time.
Yes.
By following a trope.
But certain tropes piss me off to no end, and this movie bucks a lot of them, and it made me happy. I really enjoyed this movie specifically because of how many times they were like, yeah, that thing that you were expecting to happen, it doesn't.
They definitely did buck a lot of tropes, again, because it being a girl boss story, it obviously bucks the trope of the damsel in distress, hence why it's called Damsel. They're trying to play off of that. So it does buck a lot of them. But there were a few more lesser-known tropes when it comes to dragons in general that I personally did not like. And we'll get to those in the spoiler section because they have to do with a lot of the reveals that were coming about. Trisnix in our chat asks, is it Mary Sue, though? And it's like, no, it's actually not Mary Sue. Not until the end, where there's a couple of contrivances that I not enjoy, and I'll get into that in a second, not in the later half also. A lot of the reason I didn't like it was because of these very small dragon-related tropes and a lot of these, what I'm going to call contrivances, stuff that should not have worked. A spoiler-free example of a contrivance is how bad the dragon is with her breath weapon. You know, kind of like how in Star Wars the stormtroopers never hit anything. Well, because they can't, because then you're offing a main character, right?
Yeah.
So, but like you do it enough, and it's like, oh my god, and you start rolling your eyes, right? It became a meme for a reason. Stormtrooper accuracy, right?
Yeah. Without spoiling, again, the dragon uses her breath weapon probably about 8 or 9 times in the movie, and the first couple times she uses it against no NPCs, I'll call them, flawless hit rate. Kills them all. But every time she has to use it against the main character, she misses and sucks.
Yeah. There's a... Now, I'll save this for the spoiler part. But yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's the brief synopsis. I guess any content warnings. There is a lot of physical trauma. There are some third-degree burns because we're dealing with fire
They
breath
are
weapons.
the makeup and like the way they made the wounds very realistic. Like it
There,
made Ray uncomfortable at times.
I did not like the way the burns were depicted because they were very realistic, so it made me uncomfortable. Um, Also, it's worth noting because this is a quick thing for a lot of people. There is one eyeball wound in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, as far as quality, uh, Bantam, how do you feel the 3D asset of the dragon itself is?
I'm this is going to be a minor tangent. There was a time when we were at Walmart and we were looking at the shitty movie section, like the $5 movies. And there's a lot of dragon movies. And you can tell that there is a Unity asset out there somewhere of a 3D dragon that a lot of these movies will pull from. Because it's the same fucking dragon in all these awful movies. And the CG is appropriately also fucking terrible. This movie, the dragon was custom made for the movie, looks amazing. Maybe not the design of the dragon, but as far as it looks like it actually is standing there in the scene with the actor,
Mm-hmm.
really fucking good job.
Yeah.
Amazing CG with really good lighting and shadows. I absolutely applaud the CG team for this.
Mm-hmm. The dragon CG is very good. I'm gonna try to use a tech bro term. Uh, the graphic fidelity.
Whoa,
I don't know what
yeah.
that. I don't even know what that means, but it looked really good. Like Venom said, the design was a little wonky. I likened her to Garrus at one point from Mass Effect, just because rather than having a very forward and defined snout like most dragons do, it was very kind of blunt and very downward sloped, which
Sh-
gave her to me a kind of bug-like look, which wasn't aided at all by the I'm gonna call it the spines along her neck, right?
yeah,
That would come out and rattle when she was angry.
there were a couple things about the dragon's design I didn't necessarily like. Like as Ray mentioned, her whole face sloped downward really quickly with a very blunt snout. But what didn't help was that her eyes were like horizontal slits instead of vertical, so it kind of made her look like a goat. And I didn't like the design of the eyeballs. She also has a very lithe frame, so she very much
I
looks
actually
like
really enjoyed the light frame.
I'm
Like,
not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying like
yeah.
normally when you imagine a Western dragon, four limbs and two wings, they're usually bulky, really
Hmm.
big. But she was very lithe. She basically looked like a big cat,
Hmm.
like a lion or a female lion or something. It worked really well for her, but
Less cat, more cheetah. Cats,
yeah,
lions are kind of bulky.
much more cheetah. Yep.
But yeah, so I kind of prefer the bulky dragon, mostly when we're talking about like male dragons, because I like bulk and I am attracted to males. But like this lithe look was very very good, but it definitely did add to the what I want to call her bug like qualities. She was almost an insect dragon.
Yeah, but
Her coloring was hard to see because it takes place in a cave, which is very dark all the time. But I almost feel like there was some like yellow and black pattern going on there that also added to a very insectoid look.
it looked like a dark gray dragon splashed with molten gold.
Yeah.
Like she had a lot of shiny gold accents to her scales that were focused more on her back and shoulders, and then like the knuckles and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, it was a very good design. I thought it was a very good design. Um,
Yes. Some interesting, I guess, nuances about the design. The claws were retractable. They came out at one point, which I thought was interesting.
they also weren't sharp. Like they there was one scene, yeah, where they showed her claws were retractable, but they were very blunt because she's walking around on stone floors.
Which is weird. If they were retractable, then they shouldn't get blunted from walking around. But whatevs. This is just being nitpicky at that point. She has a very, very long, oddly prehensile tail. It's very whip-like in how it just tapers off to a very fine point, and it's very long, and she uses it in some combat scenes. It is unclear if the end of it was bladed or not. The
It
way she was using it against the knights in the opening scene made me feel like it was, but I don't know.
Yeah. There was one scene where you can see the very tip of the tail clearly, and it looks like it might be a blade, but it could also just be a very elongated spade.
I don't. If I'm gonna go all in on the she's half bug because of the way she looks, then she totally just has a tail stinger. It's not my headcanon. I thought her neck was a little wide, but again, that's me being nitpicky.
Well, her neck would always swell whenever she blew fire. But normally, yeah, she was very neck heavy.
But overall, it's very good looking graphics wise. I would put it in the upper 50% of dragon designs as far as movies go. But it does come a little short of the titans of the industry, such as Draco from Dragonheart or Smaug from Lord of the Rings. You know, the people that either set the standard or had millions and billions of dollars backing them.
Yeah.
But she did look really good. Her sound design was fucking amazing, though.
Yeah, her voice sounded probably, as far as female dragons go. I loved her voice.
So I don't know the voice actress's original voice, like just on it, her just talking on its own. So I don't know if she has smoker voice normally, or if they added that for the dragon. But it worked for a dragon very well. It was very gruff and gritty, and like I said, smoker voice is what it sounded like, which I feel works very well for a very large and angry reptile-like creature. But like, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head. But there were a lot of her sound bites, like the way she would growl or rattle or whatever. Like not just her voice, but just her sound design in general was also really good. I enjoyed it for that.
Yeah. Also, there were many times the main character's name is Elodie, and there were many times where the dragon would try to use her name and pronounce it Elodie,
She was
like
just saying
sounding it out.
letters.
But
Yeah.
there were a couple times where she used her name normally, so I think she was probably just trying to be intimidating.
Yeah, she definitely had the whole cat playing with her prey kind
Oh
of
yeah.
mentality for most of it. But yeah, so
So normally we tell you, like, oh, if this sounds interesting, go read the book, which can be upwards of like a 10+ hour commitment. But this is a movie on Netflix,
yeah.
so go watch it.
Well, we'll get into that in a second when we like re-rate it or whatever. Real fast, just again going through my little bullet point list here. The believability / verisimilitude of the story / world.
Yeah.
I'll go first on this. It started out believable, like the general concept, the general storyline. The humans in the story had a really very cult-like ritual at the beginning that they performed. Like all of that was believable. Like the setup, I can 100% see happening. To me, it just loses its believability towards the end when a lot of the contrivances start to show up. But it starts out really strong, but then starts getting more don't like that, as it goes on. At least for me. But a lot of that is subjective to me. I will admit that objectively it was an enjoyable movie, but subjectively I did not like it.
I loved it.
Yeah. Dream fulfillment. Is it, quote, dragon-y enough? No.
I think it is.
I would say no. And that just comes from one big major trope, which I guess is fine to spoil at this point. It's another one of those dragon being the last of their kind tropes, which I fucking hate.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
And yeah, I'm sick and tired of that one. But yeah,
the thing I always like to keep in the back of my mind, though, is that it's the humans in the universe that are saying this. They don't know that. Like, they cannot 100% be like, yes, this is the last dragon. The dragon itself saying I am the last of my kind also can't be trusted because she never leaves the kingdom that she's in. So it's like, I feel like it's just like a pity me, I'm the last of my kind statement, less than an actual fact.
Yeah, but all the proof in the movie so far points to her being the last because no one ever talks about dragons from other lands or anything, so who knows? Alright, so we'll go on to our ratings now. Bantam, X out of 5 stars, and would you live here?
X out of 5 stars for the movie or for the world?
For the movie mostly.
For the movie, 5.
It as a piece of fiction.
5. And would I
And
live
would you live
here?
here?
In the stipulation that I get to choose where I live, yes.
Where do you want to live? If it's not spoiler.
It is a spoiler.
Okay.
I at the end of the movie, I would want to live at
You
the
don't
end
want
of
to
the
end up
movie.
where the main character ends up?
Yes.
Okay. For me, like I said, so a lot of the dislike I have for this thing is subjective to me specifically. There are a couple of things that I don't like, which drops it down to what I would say. I would give it like 1 star, but that's my subjective rating. As I was telling Bantam and my partner Tanith before, this movie to me felt like how a lot of people see the other big air quotes hot garbage movies that I actually loved. Stuff like Jupiter Ascending or Gods of Egypt or Mortal Engines, movies that critically did very poorly, and in general people were like, yeah, that was kind of dumb, but it was fun to watch. You know, that kind of stuff. Cinematic spectacles that are fun to watch at least once, but they're not really like good. I probably will never rewatch this. If I do, it's going to be like many, many years in the future just because I want to see the dragon again, because again, her sound design and her CG was really, really, really good. But yeah, as far Bantam says, go watch it. It's so easy. Just go watch it on Netflix. So it's like, yeah, if you have Netflix, if you already have a way to watch it, go ahead and do it. But I would not get a Netflix subscription just to watch this. I would not spend money on this. If I have access to it, I'll watch it, but I would not spend money on it.
So because we both gave it our ratings, I kind of also want to bring up the Rotten Tomatoes just because I think it's interesting in this aspect. The Rotten Tomatoes is really middling. Critics gave it a 56% and audiences gave it a 61%. So it is middle of the line.
Real fast, out of curiosity, Rotten Tomatoes for Jupiter Ascending, because I like Jupiter Ascending, but people hate it. Jupiter Ascending got 28 and 38%. So people really hated Jupiter Ascending, but I loved Jupiter Ascending. I thought it was really, really good, and I wish they would do more with it, but it died, so it's gone forever. So this thing did better than that.
Mortal Engines is even worse.
What's Mortal Engines?
26% and 48%.
Wow.
And what was the third one?
Yeah, I said Gods of Egypt. I'm going to that one. 14 and 37. Jesus Christ.
So the 3 movies that Ray likes, and again, I also liked all 3 of those movies. I actually haven't seen Mortal Engines, but I've seen the trailer and it looked really good. But I did see Gods of Egypt, and I did see what was the other one? Oh, Jupiter Ascending, and I loved both of those movies. I would consider those some of my favorites. So I guess it's not really a surprise that I liked Damsel, because to me it was just it was a good popcorn flick. You know, it's that movie where you're like, fuck it, let's watch Damsel. You know, like I don't really have a mood. Let's just watch a cool movie.
Yeah, it's basically what it falls down into. It's a cool movie. Again, if you don't spend money on it, see it at least once, because it was a fun spectacle. And apparently it did twice as good as the stuff that I really enjoyed. But yeah. Bantam, if we can remember to do this, let's see if we can get some of the dragon's voice sound clips, and I can just like put them in the episode random points.
Okay.
Just to show it off. But yeah, Bantam 5 out of 5. Me, a really tentative like 2 out of 5. But I understand that's subjective. Rating is always subjective. But yeah. I can't think of anything else spoiler free wise to go over. Story, sound, graphics. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna have our break now. If you want to go and watch it yourself before we spoil it, then go do so, and then come back and just listen to us kind of nerd out / rant about it a little bit. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Ray.
Yeah.
This is what the voice actress looks like. She looks like a human version of that dragon.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. All right, welcome to Mech.
All right, welcome back, listeners / kobolds. We haven't decided what we're gonna.
Whatever we decide to call you.
Well, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll,
yeah.
Something for everyone to vote on.
We'll do a poll on the Discord, so get over there if you want to have a say. So, to start off, we're going to have a real quick summary to kind of rein in Bantam's desire to
to recap
spend
the
20
whole
minutes
fucking...
recapping everything.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's like a weird thing my
It's
brain
weird.
does.
Like the last episode we recorded, which was the one book, the fucking shit, All the Skills, book 3.
Yeah.
I like at one point you wanted to talk about the scene when they come out of the dungeon and they get ambushed by the whatever, right?
Yeah, and I was basically play by playing it.
And the thing is, you play by played starting like 10 chapters before. You're like, well, I obviously got to set the stage for why they're going there. So here's the play-by-play on them getting their crafting skills in the hive, and then discovering like, oh, there's no combat cards, but we need combat cards because of this thing. You start going really deep, which is why which is why we're starting to, before we record, sit down and write a nice compact 3-paragraph summary.
It is absolutely essential for me. Because Ray's right. Like, I'm sure people have seen that meme where it's like how most people tell a story, and it's a box A to B, and then how I tell stories, and it's a giant web.
Yeah. A lot of times when you tell stories to people at home, like, how was your night at work? I have to like cut him off and be like, oh, this happened. Because he'll give the whole freaking
and I'll
backstory.
tell you in the back of my mind is like, oh, that's not how you tell that story. Hold on, and then I'm like, no, that's how the story needs to be told.
Anyway, go ahead. So Bantam will read his summary that he wrote himself,
which made Ray throw up a little.
Oh, because of one line at the end, which I'll get to after he reads
it. It's all right. So, Damsel begins centuries in the past. A king leads a contingent of knights to the dragon's lair and murders her 3 hatchlings. The dragon, in a rage, kills all the knights and spares the king, telling him that she will bring misery and pain on him like he has done to her by forcing the king to sacrifice his 3 daughters every generation as payment for killing her babies. Fast forward centuries later, and the kingdom has found a loophole. They marry random women to the prince and conduct a blood ritual to mix their non-royal blood with that of the prince, then toss the princess into the dragon's lair, and smelling royal blood, the dragon then kills them and has done this to dozens of women over the centuries, each generation. The main character, Elodie, is chosen, but she is able to survive the dragon's attempts to kill her, and eventually Elodie's father, regretting what he has done, comes to rescue her, but dies in the process. Using ropes her father came in on, Elodie is able to escape, which enrages the dragon to the point of scorching the skies. This tells the evil queen that the plan has failed, and she kidnaps Elodie's little sister Floria and tosses her to the dragon instead. The dragon decides to use Floria as bait to lure Elodie back to the cave, where a fight ensues, and Elodie bests the dragon using cunning and traps. Then, as the dragon lays defeated, Elodie reveals to the dragon how both of them were deceived, then heals the injured dragon and returns to the castle where the dragon helps her end the royal line once and for all.
Very well. It was good.
The line that made Ray sick was the Elodie bests the dragon using cunning and traps, and Ray went, bleh.
Long-time listeners will know that as a dragon supremacist, I take great offense to that line. I hate when dragons lose because they should never lose.
Yeah.
They're an apex predator for a reason.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them about the part specifically that pissed you off the most?
I mean, there are several parts that pissed me off, quote, the most. It's a big flux of disappointment, so the most keeps changing from one to the other constantly. Real fast, this is that has nothing to do with anything, but I was just thinking names for our fans. How about bookworms?
There you go.
Spelled with a Y, because dragon, bookworms.
Okay.
Again, I'll bring it up to the Discord. We'll let you guys vote in on it. Yeah.
The part that really upset Ray was the Elodie goads the dragon into using her breath weapon on her.
Yeah, so we're jumping straight to the end of the movie here, and like I said, a lot of the
I just wanted really just that one part.
But yeah, so she ends up beating the dragon at the end they're both wounded and limping. Like she's limping, Elodie's limping away, and the dragon's kind of limping towards her because she got stabbed in the hand, so she can't put weight on it. Stabbed in the foreclaw. In the sea. So they're kind of limping for a bit, and the dragon is putting weight on her wing as a makeshift crutch as she's walking, but that's causing an inadvertent flap, which is making this dust kind of whoosh all around the cave. And Elodie kind of notices that the dust does this really weird like back curve thing when it goes against a pillar that looks like it's made out of like giant mushrooms that kind of stacked on each other, like the way it's shaped. It's got weird curves to it, weird layered curves. So she notices the dust has like a big like kind of backblast thing. So she stands in front of it and does the whole, "Do it, kill me, do it now." Right? I'm here, do it now. Like, burn me with your fire breath. Like, trying to taunt and goad her into doing it. And the dragon does, which is like, come on, that would be super suspicious, first of all. Ugh. But so she does that, breathes fire, dives to the side. The fire ends up going against the curve of the pillar and backblasts on the dragon, burning her badly. And then she collapses. Looks like she's dying because she's got like half her body's freaking burned by her own fire. And like, there's like 3 things wrong with that I just fucking hated. All right. First off, you're telling me that this creature that has lived,
centuries.
No, actual. First off, this creature that's capable of breathing fire is not resistant to its own fire in some way. I mean, first of all, this was a liquid fire, not a gas fire. This was a liquid fire. It's like an oily substance that ignites and then burns. You're not resistant to that at all. Like, if you accidentally, as like a teenager, like breathe fire on your leg, you're just kind of completely fucked. Your leg is just gonna shrivel up and die because you gave yourself 3rd-degree burns. It's like, no, you would not succumb to one single breath attack. Like, I'm not saying you're completely immune to fire, because dragons probably fought each other and they use fire breath all the time, but you would not have succumbed that fast to one splash attack, basically.
My personal theory, like, I'm the exact opposite in this aspect. I actually found it far more realistic. This dragon was definitely not from a quote-unquote magical dragon category. You know, like, this dragon was very much a real living, breathing animal, quote unquote, in this universe. It didn't have magic. It wasn't. It's just, to me, it was more grounded in reality.
Yeah, but still, like, I'm not saying she should be completely immune to her own fire, like completely fireproof, like she could take a bath in lava if she wanted to. I'm not saying that, but the extent to which her own fire breath damaged her, what I felt like was like contrivingly way too high. Like, it should not have done that much damage. Because, second point, you can't live for hundreds, possibly thousands of years, because she was old when the story started centuries ago, with the whole death of her young and whatnot. You don't live for that long and are not aware of potential backblast, right? Especially if it's on a pillar that you live in this cave with all this geometry, or whatever the heck. It's like, that's not something she should have fell for. It's pretty, like, you would have learned to be careful with that, right? And then the third part, the reason I didn't like that is because, again, like I said, it's super sus. Like, this girl has been, like, running and being very defiant this whole time, and then now she's just standing there like, "Hey, burn me with your fire, you dumb bitch."
I mean, I can defend that in the sense where, like, they were both at the point of, like, exhaustion. They were fighting to a stalemate, and the dragon is like, "I'll never stop." And so the girl was basically like, "Fine, fuck it, just do it." You know, like, whatever. I could kind of reasonably see that. I don't know.
Yeah, but you, the 5 out of 5 big fan, can only kind of reasonably see it. So it's like, it was definitely a stretch that I did not like. But yeah, there were a lot of really weird such contrivances. Like, when Elodie thought she was escaping and climbs up the crystal, whatever the heck, right? And gets to the hole in the wall and discovers that it's not actually an escape because there's no way to get down from this sheer cliff face that what the hole is, right?
Yeah.
And then the dragon shows up and is like taunting her and gonna kill her. Like, she's halfway through the fiery inhale to blow her fire breath, right? Elodie should be dead to rights at this point. But then she hears a voice echoing from the cave. It's like, "What's this?" And goes and flies off, and that's when she finds the dad and ends up killing the dad. The fact that she also kills the dad in a way that's like, "Make Elodie come to you so that I know where she's hiding." It's like, you had her. You don't need the dad to lure her out. You had her. Just finish her off and then go see what the disturbance is. That was, I feel like, the biggest, like, Deus Ex, "I'm not going to kill you right now" moment that there ever was.
Yeah, there were a lot of the thing is that if I were completely defending the movie, which maybe, sure, fuck it, I'll devil's advocate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the one who's defending the movie here. she got way too into toying with her prey. She definitely got way too into, I want to make this as miserable as possible for you. And for every time that Elodie escaped or, didn't die, it just emboldened the dragon to want to kill her in a more creative, fun way for the dragon. And so, having Elodie right there in front of you and then hearing a noise, it's like, what if they attack me from behind? I want to take my time with Elodie. Elodie's just a fucking girl with no defenses. I'm gonna go kill whatever the fuck this is. I could see it. Devil's advocate again. I'm pushing it, but
I'm going to respond to this verbally. Taryn in our Discord says, also, I realize that Elodie is the only one to put up a reasonable fight, so it's possible the dragon doesn't consider backburn a possibility because she doesn't need to worry about it in the past. And I'm going to respond to that saying, like, I see your point. Like, maybe she is the only one to even remotely fight back, which is, again, a little weird, but that's a different type of weird. You can't be a living flamethrower for possibly a millennia long and not at least be conscious about the possibility of backburn. You would have burned yourself already as young while you were learning how to fully control it. You would have it. You don't live for that long, and it never coming up.
Also, to defend Ray's point, if I were the dragon in that situation and Elodie were standing in front of a pillar saying "fucking do it," I don't need to unleash an entire torrent of goddamn flame. I could just go and just shoot like a little glob. Like it certainly did not need to engulf her in like a 50 square radius fucking pool of fire.
Yeah, also keep in mind that up until this point, the dragon has also killed several other people, including the dad and the guide and whatnot, using just the claws. Big squishes, which I actually enjoyed the squishes, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't. They made me sick.
Yeah, there were a couple night. There was one night that she grabbed and dropped from a great height because she knows that humans can't survive falls from that type of height. Get kind of plop, smack on the floor, then just dead, broken neck, right? There was another night that she dropped that only I think broke a leg or a back because it kind of just laid there moaning in pain. So she lands, puts a forepaw on it, and pushes down to a squish, right? The dad was kind of a really weird, less of a squeeze and more of a I'm going to push my claws into you slowly kind of deal. And then the guide was another I'm grabbing you in my hand and the camera cut away, so I'm not sure if it was another crush or if it was a claw impalement because it cut away. But the point is, there were 4 kills back to back, no fire breath, but then now this time you're like, I have you within arm's reach, I'm going to breathe fire on you now.
Yeah.
Again, I'm kind of just whatever.
No, it's definitely...
Ray can't comprehend a dragon losing. It's like, no, I really can't. Because this is what I enjoy about dragons, is the fact that they are great and powerful beings, and so I don't like them losing to humans. There are other dragon fans that do like the concept of a human rising up and overcoming such a great obstacle that is a dragon, and that's fine. You might really enjoy this movie. That's why I said my rating is very subjective.
Random aside, I just wanted to bring this up because I found it. If those of you who did we ever cover Arcane on this podcast?
No. The League of Legends TV show?
Yeah.
No, we did not.
We were talking about it, I think probably at work then, and Ray brought up that Grayson, the cop leader, had a very smoker's voice. And so I was looking up who the dragon's voice actor also played. She also played Grayson from Arcane. So yeah, she has a very smoky, gravelly, very nice voice, I think.
She's your new favorite voice actress?
She's my new favorite voice actress. I mean, I don't get the hate for Awkwafina, the voice of Sisu, but because I don't hate her voice, but
I like Awkwafina's voice.
I like Awkwafina's voice too. She gets a lot of hate, but as far as non-feminine sounding voices, definitely this voice actress is my new favorite.
I feel like that also might be why people don't like Awkwafina, because she's not the traditional Angelina Jolie, sultry, seductive female, which is what most people want from their female characters because they want to be able to, get off to it.
Yeah.
They're like, how she's
I'm
not traditionally feminine. How can I enjoy her? It's like, get over yourselves.
I might butcher her name, so I deeply apologize. But the voice actress for the dragon in this movie is Shorey Agdashlu, and she was in The Expanse. She played Grayson in Arcane, and she played the dragon in this. So
Very talented.
yeah.
All right, so more discussing this travesty of a dragon movie. Another thing that I want to complain about. It wasn't a travesty. I'm giving it a hard time. I'm kind of just playing into it at this point. Like, I've made my stance known. You all understand it's just subjective. It's like, yeah, it's not a dragon is all powerful kind of scenario, so Ray's gonna be a little about it, but whatevs. The whole trope. So many tropes I don't like. The trope of being the last dragon in existence. It's like, it's not ever 100% confirmed, because that's not something you can ever 100% confirmed. After all, in the real world, on Earth, there have been several, quote, extinct species that have suddenly showed up out of nowhere, because you can never 100% prove it. It's like, you would just be looking and never find it, but that doesn't mean it's not hiding somewhere. But yeah, she's the last dragon on Earth, which is a trope I'm sick and tired of. I want worlds that have dragons. They should have been like a dragon culture off somewhere, even if it was like across the ocean and this was human lands and she was like, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out how to format my thoughts. Like, I guess I'm trying to tie it into the end of the movie. In the end, they become best friends. Like, listen, girl, we almost killed each other, so now we're best friends, gal pals. Let's go burn down a kingdom. Wake up, Samurai. We got a kingdom to burn. And then in the last scene, Elodie's going, I guess, back home, and you get to see the dragon. They never gave her a name, did they?
No, she was just the dragon.
All right, there we go. Big sin on Ray's Cinema Sins counter. Ding. No name
Yeah,
for the
it's
dragon.
like the dragon was a main character, but not enough to get a name apparently.
Yeah, like. So she's seen flying by the boat. So I guess she's going with Elodie to, I guess, live with her in the frozen north. Which, on the one hand, is like, yeah, I understand I'm going to get away from the site of the greatest atrocity ever committed to you, right? To me, the implication, the hope for the future is that maybe there's a dragon in the north that she's going to find and they can have more kids and, propagate and all that. But again, like, if you're going to lean towards that, you should have, like, mentioned dragons coming up in, like, a story or a legend. Like, this thing sounds like the monster from the north or what the fuck, right? It was a very weird ending state where we're just going to have the dragon go and be gal pals with the main character now. But it's just, I don't know, me just ranting about the whole last dragon on Earth kind of scenario, which is meh.
Yeah, according to IMDb, the dragon is credited as Dragon.
Yeah.
And when
No
I click
name.
on the front page of IMDb where it says top cast, she's not even in it. I had to click on top cast to bring up the full list.
Ugh. But yeah, so that's another weird contrivance. Like, now they're best friends. It's like, I can understand,
So,
like, hey, apparently I was wrong. You're not royal. Maybe I'll say I'm sorry. And then after we kill the people who are responsible for all these innocent deaths, it's like, now a bit, like, normally you would think that they would just go their separate ways at that point. Like, whatever, fine. A weird ceasefire. I'm going to go back home to my frozen north, and the dragon's going to go and try to find another dragon off somewhere else. But now they're just best friends, going to go and live together?
all right, hold on. Let me devil's advocate here again.
Yeah, because you want to end up as Elodie with it. Like, I have a new dragon friend. Hooray.
Yeah, like, not as like a pet or anything, literally as a friend. Like, I'm going to give you a safe place to live. Especially considering it's the frozen north where having access to fire. Because in the very beginning of the movie, we see Elodie chopping down the last fucking tree in existence and talking about how firewood is like the biggest commodity. And it's like, having access to fire would be really helpful. But at any rate, her suddenly being best friends is not really a contrivance to me. The way I saw it was that when Elodie finally reveals the truth to the dragon, that we've all been manipulated by the king, the dragon
by the queen,
the dragon probably goes, you know what? me wanting to torture the royal line for all these years has backfired, and I was tricked, and I'm pissed off about it. And at this point, I'm no longer interested in I just want the king and queen, the royal line, to die. And so Elodie probably, I mean, it's never shown. Like, she's just like, I'm done with people telling me what to do, and then it cuts to her approaching the castle. I imagine that Elodie was probably like, listen, the royal line has betrayed us both. You have killed lots of innocent girls, but they killed your babies. You know, let's just end the royal line. Let's just fucking wipe them out. And the dragon probably realizes, you know what? I was wrong for toying with them. I should have just killed the king when I had the chance. I'm not going to let this mistake happen again. Yes, let's go murder the entire royal line. I can see in
Hmm.
that situation where it would benefit the dragon, at least emotionally, to just kill them all and be done with it, and
No,
know
yeah,
that
that's
this whole cycle is ended.
yeah. I'm not arguing against that. Like that's fine. That's them going and kill off the royal family was great. A great close to the cycle, and
Okay.
like that, like because this movie could definitely be seen as a lesson against vengeance, against not necessarily hatred per se, but like not letting go of emotional trauma, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. Now,
So them going off and killing off the royal family was fine. My I guess I'm saying is like it's really weird that the dragon is suddenly just flying off with Elodie off
nope.
into the distance as the final shot. Would it have been so bad to put a scene instead of having the super tropey I'm walking away from the burning castle and not looking back, right? Fuck that scene first of all. But
Yeah, we'll agree.
but instead of that, would have been so bad to just have the dragon and Elodie like sitting in the field with the castle burning in the distance, and they're looking at it like admiring their handwork, like this feels good. Them sitting there and then talking and then saying like, well, what now? And saying, oh, I guess I'm gonna go back home because my people still need me. What about you? And she just says like a big like sad sigh, like I don't know. I've lived for hundreds of years with nothing but hate and anguish. I don't
Okay.
really know what else to do. And then she says, why don't you come with me? It would be good to get away from the site of your trauma. How about you come with me and we can try and make a life for you?
Okay. Now that you've said that, I changed what I was going to say, because you're right. You're 100% right. And I actually wish that was in the movie now. Uh, because the final scene of the movie is Elodie sailing back home to the north, and the dragon is flying along with them. They're on the boat, and the dragon's flying with them, implying that she invited the dragon back to her lands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, there's no explanation. The dragon's just off in the distance and looks at her, and then they keep flying.
I'm
Um,
surprised you didn't give her a thumbs up.
yeah, and so because I was going to devil's advocate and say that the reason why the dragon decided to go home with her and be friends is because obviously not everybody in the kingdom died. Like, the entire castle was burned to the ground and started
I
collapsing,
mean, yeah,
whatever.
like Elodie actually said this is your last chance to to leave to run. So that's why the servants are like, oh fuck, and the servants all ran away and just the
Yeah,
nobility to stay behind because
but
they're
well,
like,
there
we're
were
not going to be intimidated by
when the
you.
so there were two stages of people escaping. When the dragon showed up at the wedding ceremony, first all the servants and maids basically bolted immediately,
Mhm.
and then when the dragon started charging up fire, a bunch more ran. The king and queen and the other royals just stood there in awe, like, oh fuck, whatever. But thing is I think it would have been in the dragon's best interest to leave, because otherwise you never know when some uppity fucking human is gonna be like, they killed my mom, my dad, whatever. I'm gonna go
That's why
fucking,
you end the bloodline.
yeah. But you don't know how many escaped who are gonna be like, I want vengeance. Basically, if the dragon stayed behind, it's just gonna keep the cycle going. So the
Hmm.
dragon removed herself entirely from the situation.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the dragon going to live with Elodie inherently in itself was bad. I'm saying the way it was done was bad. There was no reason to. It felt unrealistic to me that these two people who have spent the last, I'm gonna guess, like a day, maybe two. I don't know how long she was in the cave for, trying to kill each other, like are suddenly now best friends. Like that felt weird, which is why we needed an extra scene for context of them sitting, maybe apologizing to each other and just deciding what to do in for the future.
Yeah,
Like
my
that added context would have made it much more believable. But they were going for like three different tropey cinematic endings at once, including the walking away from the burning building and then the sailing off into the distance with the who knows what's next kind of implication behind it.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I will say the slightest devil's advocate I can do on that scene is the fact that shit, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was something you said, but then you kept going.
The walking away from the burning building or the sailing to the distance. Who knows what happens next?
No, something about the dragons. Whatever. It'll come to me later.
Them being best friends.
Yeah.
Gal pals.
Yeah, the gal pal thing. And right. Okay. So the devil's advocate I have for that is that, like, how could the dragon go from being mortal enemies to best friends? The dragon basically accepted death. The dragon was laying there, gasping for a breath because she was burned and stabbed and laying there, whatever. And Elodie was standing over her with a sword, and the dragon was like, "Just do it, just end it, and just end this whole thing." And Elodie had the chance to straight up kill her and went, "No, I'm done with this," and then went and got...
I'm done being told what to do.
Yeah, and then the form of medieval magic... The only magic in this movie was these glowworms. There's the species of glowworms that I guess when they are attached to burned or cut or whatever, they just magically heal it. They're like medieval fucking med kits.
So in a very low magic setting where the dragon didn't have magic, where they tried to make the dragon's fire breath itself a very biological thing, and in a setting with no magic at all, no mention of sorcerers or wizards offering sage advice or anything, to suddenly have magically healing glowworms is another really weird contrivance.
It is a very weird contrivance. I will absolutely. It's very weird because she finds out that if you just put glowworms on your wound, the glowworms just magically go beep, and I'm talking within seconds. Your wound, your cuts, your scrapes, gone. But she pours a whole handful of glowworms all over the dragon where the wounds are. So in my mind, the dragon is like, you know what? I've been duped. I hated you. I wanted you dead. But now I'm just tired. Just kill me. And she's like, no, I'm going to save your life because it's not your fault. And so at that point, the dragon kind of feels indebted to her. Like, yeah, we're friends now. Like, you saved my life. You had the opportunity to kill me, and you didn't. And
I feel like friendships take a bit more time to build up. They are begrudging acquaintances at this point. I wouldn't go so far as to say friends. But whatever. So one thing I will say, like, here's a good thing about the movie. There's a couple good things. There are a couple really good scenes that I liked with the dragon laying there, what seemed to be dying. I don't know if she would have recovered on her own or whatnot. But with the whole, like, we've both been lied to. They've tricked you into killing innocents, and she's like, then end it, right? I'm just thinking in my head, like thinking from the point of view of Elodie, like, oh, I'm going to, like, time to end this cycle of hatred, right? Like, I felt like that was a little... She didn't say that, but that was what was in my head. To me, that scene felt a little poetic with she is ending it. She's ending the cycle, not your life. Like, you can only really end the cycle of vengeance and hatred by showing mercy, which, again, would have been a very powerful point. But no, instead of having anything remotely close to that, they decide to go with the whole, girl boss, I'm tired of being told what to do, right? Like, I need a tangent real fast because I keep throwing out girl boss like it's a slur. So I need to explain to myself, to some of the people who are going to start thinking poorly of me. One of the problems I had with this movie, initially, I've done some thinking and kind of turned around on it. One of the problems I had with it initially was that it was a story of a girl becoming empowered, becoming girl boss. I'm going to keep using that. And eventually, like, winning in the end, right? And my problem with that is just because I felt like it's become very, very commonplace. I think it is great that women have stories where they're the main characters. I think it's wonderful that women can feel empowered and they can be strong. You know, strong, independent women is actually a good thing. I just feel like, at least in the media that I have been subjected to, through my own choices or whatever, that it is becoming more and more commonplace to the point where it's like, me, as someone who identifies as a guy, I would like to see a story where the guy gets to do something. Be heroic and all that, right? I'm very. Don't interrupt. I'm gonna lose my train of thought.
Okay.
I'm very thankful that the actual villain was the queen rather than the king, The king was just kind of in the background. He was just there. He was complacent. But the queen was the actual antagonist who was like perpetuating this weird ritualistic sacrifice. I'm very thankful that it was that rather than it accidentally being turned into a girl versus guy story if it was the king that was evil. So I'm thankful for that. But like, to use Disney as an example, and Disney might be a bad example because Disney, I think, has always tried to appeal to little girls rather than little boys. The little boys tend to like the superhero stories better, at least the last like 20, 30 years, which is the tropes that we've kind of developed over time or whatever. But like old style Disney had a lot of princesses that had to be saved by princes and whatever. And a lot of times the guy supporting character was very heroic and brave and powerful. And I understand why that had to go. Like that was an old entire trope of the ages. I understand why that had to go. But nowadays, I feel like every time Disney and Pixar or whatever come up with something, it's always the girl character that is very strong, very capable, and very, I'm going to accomplish whatever I set my mind out to do. And it's always the guy character is always in some way, he's either just comedic relief, he's always a coward, or just very, very timid and will never step up to do anything. And it's always the guy character is just there to elevate the status of the female character. They're always there as a supporting role, and they're always incompetent in some way. Not overly so, not in a punching down kind of way, but they're always incompetent in the sense that they can't ever do anything on their own. The story only works because of the female's choices, which, again, it's great that women can have these kind of kids to look up to, but I feel like it's gone so far that it's almost become eye-roll-worthy for me when there's a new heroine, I can't pronounce that word, in something, because I want to see more powerful male characters come back. It's a problem with Wings of Fire, the of our day and age most popular book series. Every single main character that like accomplishes something is female. Tsunami is a very powerful female that becomes a princess. Glory becomes queen. Sunny has her own little adventure of, I'm gonna go out and like kick butt and save the world through accident. It's a really weird chain of events. But then like Clay is kind of just there. Starflight is a big coward that kind of gets dragged through his book. He doesn't really do anything. He's got to get saved more or less. And it's just like, in some of the future books of Wings of Fire, Winter gets like exiled. Blue himself is a big coward. Swordtail is incompetent comedic relief. And it's just, I want stronger male characters to come back, at least a little bit. But yeah, so that's my justification for why I keep throwing around girl boss. And like, it's a girl boss story, and it's great that you can have that, but to me, it's become eye-roll worthy. And it's like, yeah, of course she's going to do the girl boss line of, I'm tired of being told what to do, and then I'm going to walk away from the burning castle all like heroic and triumphant, like. And it's like, to me, girl boss has become a trope.
Yeah, I'll agree to that. What I was going to say halfway through the thing is that it's the natural state of the pendulum swinging. It's marketable right now to have that, and so you're going to get more and more and more of it until people get sick of it, and then it's going to swing back the other way.
And the thing is, people are starting to get sick of it because it's being done. It's being done poorly because people think like, oh, we just need to make a character who's female and very strong, and it's like that we had powerful female characters before. I'm really bad with names, but like Samus Aran was always a powerful female character. Riley from Alien was always a powerful Ripley. Is that sorry? I'm really sorry. She was always a powerful female character. We've always had some every now and then. That's great. Nowadays we're getting them done very poorly that people are starting to really, really hate. Some people like Miss Marvel from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
Yeah, she was just super Mary Sue. She was aggravating to watch. I love comic book movies. I watched Marvel, and I couldn't stand her. Way too Mary Sue. Like, how are you going to contrive that she can be physically hurt? It's the same problem with Superman.
Yeah, it's the same problem with Superman completely, but like it's an example of a female character done wrong, and why in the grand scheme of the world, there are a lot of people who are complaining about the powerful female character, and others are quick to throw out you're just being sexist. Like, no, it's because you're doing it poorly, and you're doing it wrong, and you're doing it in ways that are like not good, I guess. It's just, to me, that's proof that the pendulum is swinging too far, and hopefully it eventually starts swinging back, and not so extreme that we start putting women down again, but like let's give some guy characters the limelight every now and then, right?
So I do also want to point out that I want to point out a couple of the anti-tropes that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
So Elodie's family is Elodie as the older sister, Floria is the younger sister, and then her dad, her actual father, but she has a stepmother. And they actually refer to her as stepmother throughout the whole movie, except at the very end. But it's their stepmother. Now, stepmothers in princess-centric media are almost always evil. They're either trying to steal wealth from
Yeah, it's the old Disney cliche of the evil
the
stepmother.
evil stepmother. The stepmother was the most wholesome fucking character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she wanted nothing but the best for these girls. She loved them.
I adored her. I'm happy that she survived to the end.
Yeah, she actually was the first one to get wind of like something being kind of fucked up about this wedding.
Yeah,
And she was like,
because
"Don't go through with it."
she's talking to the queen, and the queen gets Elodie's name wrong, and that just kind of makes the stepmother think like she really doesn't care, does she?
Yeah, and then the queen is like, because she's like, "I can't wait to be part of your family," and the queen's like, "Listen, this is a marriage of convenience, and then
You
you
needed
can
money,
probably
we
fuck
needed a
off."
bride.
Yeah,
We don't need more family.
yeah, and so the stepmom not being evil made me really happy. Um, the fact that the king, well, not the king, the father, while initially having done something really fucked up, like selling his daughter, knowing that she was going to be killed for a fuckload of money, uh, but he actually wrestled with it to the point where he came back and went, "No, I need to save her." And he died. He sacrificed himself to save his daughter, which he technically kind of did, because they had to rappel down through ropes to get to the dragon's cave, and Elodie was able to escape that way. But there were a lot of tropes that they broke that I really liked. Like the dad died. The dad didn't get to make a huge farewell speech before he finally succumbed. He just
Mm-hmm.
basically told her use the ropes, escape, and then died.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the fact that the king, while not inherently super evil, was just kind of
Was
in the background.
complacent.
He was always in the background when the queen was doing fucked up shit, and just
Yeah,
kind of like, eh. And
I think the king had like 2 lines.
yeah, and the prince, the prince, he seemed to like understand that this was fucked up, and he didn't want to
Yeah, I'm
participate.
actually a little upset that they killed off the prince.
Yeah,
Like I
I
kind of
was.
I get it from a whole end the bloodline type of thing. Like that's maybe the only way the dragon could have felt good about this was by ending the bloodline. The prince cannot survive, cannot continue the bloodline. Like I get that, but I'm still upset that he died because it felt like he was starting to turn around.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say the opposite. I'm actually glad he died, because the fact that he was starting to turn around seemed like it was super obvious for him to be spared. But the fact that she's like, "Nope, you all die," and I was like, "Good."
Yeah, but and like I guess the prince is another example of how all the supporting male characters are incompetent in some way. To where he was not quite sniveling. That's a bit too strong a word, but he was kind of sniveling and just did what his mom said because he doesn't have a will of his own. He's like, I'm gonna continue doing this terrible thing that I don't agree with because the female in power told me to do so.
Yeah. Now, one of the other parallels that I want to say is I actually recently, a lot of things happen weird timing, but I recently replayed all three of the Survivor series Tomb Raider games, the ones made by Crystal Dynamics, and yeah, they're torture porn. Laura, she goes through so much bullshit by the end of the game. She looks completely different than when she did in the beginning, and they kind of did that. There were a lot of parallels with this that I thought, yeah, this is medieval Lara Croft. In the beginning of the movie, when she's first made a princess before the wedding, she's wearing this super billowy paper white and golden gown. And then at the end of the movie, when she's confronting the queen before the dragon kills them all, her dress is bloodstained, burned, tattered. She's got no shoes. She's got no shoulder straps. Like, to me, I love seeing that shit.
That kind of transformation.
Yeah, and she's got scars all over her. Like, she at one point, in order to, while she was confronting the dragon, she smeared the goo, the slime from the glowworms all over herself as like a temporary barrier against the fire. And the fire hit her and she fell back into the water, and it still burned her. like huge, disgusting wound all over her chest, which she then healed with the glowworms. And so when she's walking in, you can see where that wound was, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed like a very realistic character. Like everything that happened to her, I feel like a real person
Yeah.
could do,
Yeah.
except for one thing. There's one part in the movie where she has to climb a vertical shaft like 100 feet tall, full of razor sharp fucking crystals. And so she wraps her hands and feet in broken, tattered pieces of her dress, and then she uses a crown that she finds from one of the previous princesses, and she just fucking mountain climbs her way up out of there. And I'm like, all right, I can kind of see it. But then later when she has to climb back down the same shaft, they just cut to her landing, and I'm like, I would love to see how you got back down.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I think she may have tied rocks to the bottom of her feet, like makeshift stone shoes. It
I
was
think
kind of hard to tell from the shot, but I feel like that's what she did to help her climb.
maybe. But it felt like it was super. The thing is that I can forgive her for being girl boss, as you say, because in the very beginning of the movie, and this is subtle storytelling, she's chopping wood. She's in her northern kingdom. She is very much
Oh
an
yeah,
out.
she's not your traditional girly girl.
She's not a traditional girly girl. She's chopping wood. She's got a backpack full of supplies that she brings to the castle. It rides horses. Like she's a very outdoorsy
Mm-hmm.
go-getter like Lara Croft. And I feel like everything she did in the movie is realistic.
Yeah,
So,
she's already hardened a bit from her circumstances.
yeah.
So if anyone was going to be able to survive the trials of the dragon, let's call them, it would have been her. Like I can get that.
The only reason she did survive is because the dragon wanted to toy with her, though. Like, absolutely, Ray is right. If the dragon truly just wanted her dead, the dragon would have killed her.
Which feels like a small contrivance, but a contrivance nonetheless. Uh, shit, I had something.
Yeah, I posted before and after photos of her and her dress and her at the end of the movie in the Discord in the audience stand because I just love the difference between it.
Damn, I had something when you were talking about when you were doing your own little mini rant there, and I lost it. It's gone forever.
Well, there's another little thing that I thought was funny, and this could just be me wish fulfillment, whatever. Uh, so she's like the 30th or so princess that has been killed by the dragon.
We don't get a number. We get a
We
very ambiguous centuries later.
well
So
we do get semi a number kind of because she finds a cave that is safe that other princesses have reached and they've all carved their name into the rocks, and so there's lots and lots of names. But there's one part in the movie where like when she's first tossed down into the pit where off the bridge, and she survives the fall because there's lots of tree branches, and then she lands on mud and moss. And I told Ray, I was like, how much do you want to bet that the dragon went in there and put that mud and moss there to break everyone's fall so they wouldn't die on impact? Because the dragon obviously likes hunting them. And if they're just tossing princesses down and they're bashing their heads on the rocks and dying, the dragon's not getting any fun. So it's like I thought it was a fun thought that the dragon was like very carefully laying out essentially a landing pad for them to not die on impact so that she could then hunt them.
yeah, it's a little believable. She definitely was sadistic, not in the sense that she herself is sadistic, but in the sense that she was hurt so grievously in the past that she wants to inflict as much pain on purpose.
Yeah,
And so, yeah.
seeing the dead baby dragons kind of sucked.
Yeah,
Like
so
I felt really bad for her.
yeah, so I want to talk about the trope of the killing the babies because if you tuned into the last episode where Book 3 had the baby dragon genocide, infanticide, it's like, you know how I feel about that already. It was like, uh, it's so dumb. Like, it is the lowest hanging fruit of, here's something terrible we can do. I need a minute to collect my thoughts. First off, why were the eggs left unguarded, especially if they're that close to hatching? Like most mother creatures, I think in nature, like even start to starve themselves while they're looking after the eggs. So she just happened to not be there when the knights came up to kill her eggs in time. Like most people don't miss their eggs hatching. I think there's a lot of other universes where the dragons actually make like a big fucking like holiday out of it. Like in the Dragon Prince, the dad flat out did not want to kill anybody on the day of his hatchlings, his children's hatching, because he says like, this is a day of life, do not make me make it a day of death. Like, so the fact that she wasn't there to look after the eggs when the knights came was dumb. I feel like that was a stretch, that was a contrivance to start the whole thing off, right? And then I just don't agree with the killing of the hatchlings in general from a personal moral standpoint. It's like, I just don't like it. It's gross. I don't like it. I understand it was good impetus for the whole movie. Like, I get that. But personally, I just don't like it. And then the king has the fucking gall. The king from the past has the fucking gall to order like kill these vile young, I think is what he calls them, right? And then after his knights get wiped out, like instantly, like 5 seconds multi-kill, right? And then he's the last one left. He just drops his sword and collapses, and it's like, show mercy, spare me. And I'm like, the fucking gall of this guy.
Yeah.
You gonna walk into someone's house, kill their kids, and then ask for mercy? Like, what the bloody hell?
Yeah, that was a little fucked up.
Yeah, the dragon granting the mercy because death is too good for you. It's like, feels like a stretch. I understand wanting to cause as much pain as possible, so you want to kill his children, but it still feels like a stretch. It feels like you're gonna just ask for more problems in the future by not killing him now.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I just always disagree with the killing of the young. But then the fact that the dragon keeps the corpses around as like a sort of like pseudo shrine to just mourn over them, it's like, I get it. Grief makes you do some really weird things, and shrines to pass dead are actually a thing. That's what gravestones are, right? But I feel centuries later, she's still mourning after the death of a young, which yes, again, is terrible. But I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you're just hurting yourself in the long run by staying here. Like, that's why at the end of the movie, I'm glad she left, even if it was to follow Elodie. Again, I just wanted that extra scene of context. I'm glad she left because, like, I left myself a note here in the Discord. Like, you need, let the dead die. I don't remember where I heard that. It was a quote from, I think, a movie. Some character said, I can't remember who. If you can remember, please, like, let me know through email or Discord or whatever. Let the dead die. Because I think the quote was actually maybe let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's right. It was fucking Star Wars. It was Kylo Ren. There we go. I figured it out. But yeah, let the dead die, because, like, just holding onto the past, especially a past that's that painful, is just, it's not healthy. And which is why, again, I feel like if this movie had tried to tone down the sorry for the slur, the girl boss storyline a little bit.
It's not really a slur.
I'm treating it like one, which is why I gotta apologize for it. If they toned that down a little bit and tried to be a bit more emotional about it, including humanizing the dragon a little bit, again with that scene of what are you gonna do now? I don't know. I've been living in pain and anguish in pain and hatred for so long. You know, just adding stuff like that, just adding some more emotion to the movie in general, it could have been much better. Because this could have been used as a tool if they were willing to humanize the dragon rather than demonizing it so much. It could have been used as a tool to kind of explain how damaging holding on to past trauma can be, and how it can be difficult, and you may need help to move past certain things, but that you need to let it go. Basically, I feel like the movie had a lot of potential to it, but they went too hard on just one thing, and they hurt themselves in the long run, I feel like.
So, not to bring the mood down in a...
Oh, I've already brought it down.
Well, I'm going to bring it down further. So, I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
Would you prefer the dragon be more animalistic or more human?
In what way? Personality?
In general.
It's really hard to say because, like, I don't know. Where are you going with this?
So, there have been lots of really sad videos that I've seen in the past of animals that have dead babies. And like there was, I know you don't like monkeys, but there was one of a monkey that basically carried around its fossilized infant for years until researchers found it and tried to take it from her, and she fought to the death to keep that baby, even though it was dead and had been essentially mummified. There was a video where killer whales. There was a dead baby killer whale, and the mother kept pushing it
Yeah,
along.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
The thing is that instinct and motherhood is. In fact, I saw one just yesterday. There was a video on Made Me Smile on Reddit where it was a seal that had given birth to a baby, and the baby was not moving. And the
Stillborn.
mother, and the it wasn't. It survived. The baby seal
Okay.
lived, but the mother thought it was dead and just kept prodding it and howling. And then the baby finally stirred, and the sounds that the fucking mother made were like such delight. But the thing is that it's instinct. It's like, this is my baby. I'm going to protect it, even if it's
Yeah,
dead.
and I mean, okay, so like, I agree with you. Like, children are very important, and everything should treat their children with care, pride, and joy, and all that. And that's one of the few things that I hold against the Golden Treasure, which is like my favorite like dragon meter, we'll call it, to where I've made like a ritual to like replay it every year, kind of around my birthday, just because I love it that much, and I'm looking forward to the sequel so damn much. But like the one thing I held against it was the fact that in that universe, the dragons bury their eggs, not like literally bury, but like hide it away. And then they'll come every now and then to like whisper things, quote whisper, they have mind speak, to whisper things to it to try to like teach it while it's in the shell. But then like once it hatches, like boom, I don't care about you. You're out of my hands. I have no love for you at all. If I find you in my territory after you've hatched, I will drive you out like I'm supposed to because this is my territory. Like there is absolutely no familial ties at all there. And I greatly dislike that. I enjoy the familial bonds, the parental bonds. And so I understand the dragon in this movie mourning over its young. That's not a problem. That's not a problem that I have with it at all. It's just I felt they could have done more with it.
Oh, okay.
Like as far as you're talking, like, do you want the dragons to be more human or more animal? It's like I don't understand where you're going with that because
Well, because if it,
I don't want the dragons to be just humans in dragon suits, of course.
what I
But
mean by it is that in a more human sense, if the mother eventually would take the 3 dead baby dragons and bury them somewhere, or just get rid of them because they're dead.
mhm.
Whereas the more animalistic dragon would keep them around. The baby dragons were obviously like
Okay.
mummified, fossilized, because they've been dead for.
Okay, so this is gonna be a weird tangent, and some of my information might be wrong. I'm just going off of logically what makes sense to me. Um, I feel like with that question, we're kind of making the mistake of assuming that only humans are allowed to have only humans are allowed to have emotions. Is not the sense I want to use, because so dragons would my ideal dragon is as intelligent or more intelligent than a human. Just if only by nature of them living longer, they would have more time to learn more things, right? So as intelligent or more intelligent than a human. A lot of the way humans handle grieve their dead and stuff, their ceremonial burial and all that. A lot of that is definitely cultural and societal and whatnot. But like with intelligence would come certain things. Like a dragon would still mourn over its young, and it may not bury them. There are different like rituals for dead that they could do. In Wings of Fire, the Sky Wings, for example, they will bring their dead to the top of the tallest peak and then burn it because they have the strongest fire amongst all the dragons. So a lot of their culture seems to evolve around the concept of fire. And so the idea is because we are the best flyers and have the best fire breath, the sky is very important to us, which is some of them turn out to be claustrophobic, I think. So their ritual is bringing the dragon's body to the top of the highest peak and then burning it so that with the smoke, its soul kind of gets released back into the sky. So the point is, with intelligence would come rituals like that. So yeah, the dragon probably would have buried her young or something. Certainly mourned it. The keeping it around for several hundred years is just not a healthy way to deal with trauma. Was the point I was trying to make earlier.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they did a really weird mix of humanizing and demonizing the dragon in this. Like they tried to humanize it a little bit with the killing the young scene. Like, oh, it makes total sense that she's acting the way she acts because they killed her babies. Like oh, I can understand. Like they tried to humanize it by putting trauma in its past and all that. But then they tried to demonize it by making it very cat-like in the sense of this is my favorite part, run, right? They they definitely tried to demonize her and make her hard. They tried to make her easier to sympathize with by killing her young, but then harder to sympathize with by making her unreasonable in her vengeance.
Yeah, there was a point halfway through the movie where Elodie tried to explain to the dragon that they were both fooled, but she did a terrible fucking job of it. She's like, "We were both fooled," and the dragon's like, "No, I smell your royal blood." Okay, that would be the cue for Elodie to say, "I am not royal. They cut my hand and mixed my blood with the prince's." But instead, she's just like, "How dare you!" And it isn't until she has the
Oh,
dragon defeated
the
that,
concept that royal blood has a different scent to it. Like, come on.
yeah. The thing is that one of the tropes that I will always hate, and I understand the need for it, is when a character is like, "You killed my family," and then that other character who has information that will immediately disarm the situation doesn't use that information. The other character will just not say anything, and then it's usually when the villain is dying and they're like, "Oh, by the way, blah 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 blah," and it's like, why didn't you just lead with that? You could have avoided all of this. Like, just tell them the fucking truth. The dragon very clearly was okay with talking with Elodie throughout the movie, like, because she was toying with her. And
Mm.
it's like all Elodie had to do, because Elodie realized it really quickly. She looked at her hand and went, "Oh my god, that's why she smells the royal blood, because they mixed our blood." Just explain to her, here's the cut on my hand. Like, they mixed my blood with the prince's. I'm not royal.
Yeah, so I know that touching cut to cut is enough to transmit a bloodborne disease. Is it enough to like completely change the scent of your blood if royals have their own unique scent?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. There's another
I
contrivance. There we go,
Yeah.
another sin. Bing.
It was a little messed up, I thought. Like, that was the one thing the biggest problem I had with the movie, was that the entire series of events were predicated on the princess being of royal blood, and the princess realizes very early on, "Oh shit, that's what that was for, that ritual." And it's like, just explain to the dragon, like, that you on top of that, it's like, I mean,
Yeah,
congratulations to
they
the
they
dragon
tried to
for
they
not
they
seeing
definitely
color.
did make the dragon unreasonably stubborn to try to again. That's one of the things they try to do to make her to demonize her a bit, so that it was I don't know.
Yeah, and congratulations to the dragon for not seeing color. But every single one of these princesses were multicultural. Like, there were black, Asian, Indian princesses, and it's like, can you not tell them apart? Like,
Maybe
it's
she can't. Maybe she doesn't understand how human breeding works. Who knows? This is me reaching, obviously, but like maybe in this world, dragons can give birth to any fucking scale color. Like a red can give birth to a blue. Like who fucking knows? So it's like she doesn't know how human breeding works.
I guess that's true. But it's like, I feel like at any point in the movie, Elodie could have explained the situation, and the dragon would have at least listened to reason.
Yeah, but you would definitely think that it's the humans. So the humans had to come up with this ritual on their own for tricking the dragon, right? They had to come up with this on their own. The they didn't go to the dragon like, hey, if we do this, will you accept this as a royal princess? Like, obviously not, right? So
Correct.
with the humans coming up for this plan on their own, you would think that they would purposely only get white princesses then, that have the same like hair and eye color as their own
Yeah,
offspring to lead into the lie of these are our children, so we're fulfilling our agreement by giving you our daughters, right? Don't look too hard into this, which is why like this is the one time they should have had an all-white cast.
yeah.
Just because we're
It's
actually dealing
hard.
with family lines.
It's hard to say this without sounding racist, because I'm not. But, like, the fact that there were a bunch of black people in what was essentially a medieval European setting, uh,
The thing
was
is, that it wasn't European because the kingdom was like Aurelia or whatever, which means we don't have to follow real life
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Not dimorphism, but you know what I'm trying to get at. I can't think
Yeah.
of the word.
Cut that.
So the only yeah, the only weird part is that they tried to pass off multicultural princesses as their family line.
Yeah. There was one thing that I thought was pretty funny, where while we were watching the movie, and she was having a flashback to all the princesses in the safety cave, and one of them was drawing the map of the whole cave, and Ray goes, "How the fuck does she remember the whole layout of the cave?" And I went, "Autistic princess."
Yeah, but then like towards the end of the map where they have the little picture of the sun, like this, like the implied this is the way out. It's like, what, do you
Well,
go there and then come back to write the map
nope,
for the rest of the
nope.
princesses?
I have a reason for that too, because they were at the bottom of the cave. They looked up and saw sunlight, so they went, "Oh shit, there's sunlight there."
Quick,
Eh,
run back to write it on the map.
yeah, run back to write it on the map, and then Victoria went to go check it out and died. So that is 100% realistic. She drew the map when she saw the sunlight and went, "Okay, I'm going to draw that there's sunlight here, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go escape." And then she gets up there and realizes it's a sheer cliff face that goes down thousands of feet, and she's going to die, and she gets burned to death in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can you think of anything else?
I'm racking my brain right now.
I loved the prehensile tail. The CG was so good up close, because that's the other thing. Sometimes you'll get close-ups of the dragon, and you can see that let's use the tech word, the graphical fidelity doesn't quite match when you're looking at it really close up. There was the scene where after the dragon scorched the sky when Elodie escaped, the queen captured Floria to bring Floria as a sacrifice instead. And instead, the dragon protected her. And so had Floria sleeping in like a little loop of her tail, and the tail looked so fucking realistic. It actually looked soft.
Yeah, I was like, I want to sleep there.
And she was like gently caressing Floria's cheek with her claw. And she's like, "Elodie will come save you." And it's like, oof, that's adorable, but also sinister.
Sinisterly adorable. It's perfect. Terrence says she is a dragon mother. She's still caring for the young, and it's like, see, that's something else they could have explored too, and that would have added to the humanizing of the dragon. And like, humanizing is a weird term to use here because we often complain about these dragons are way too human. They're not dragons at all, because yeah, they would have different cultural and racial differences just based off their long life and the fact that they are obligate carnivores and whatnot. To reference lazy scales, even though it was a bit magically forced, the fact that Lewis, all his friends smelled like food after he turned into a dragon, and he could only see humans as food because you can't have that emotional connection, otherwise you're going to starve yourself because they can't eat vegetables. Like with humans, meat is good. We all love meat, but we could survive without it if we had to, which is why we're able to form bonds with animals and like, oh, this rabbit's so cute, I don't want to kill and eat it at all, right? You give that trait to a carnivore and it's going to starve, right? Which is why I really don't like All Mother from a Golden Treasure, but that's another rant for another day. The point is that shit, what was my point? They could have given the dragon a few more endearing qualities if they're willing to explore that. And again, this is me just saying that there was such potential for this storyline. So I'm gonna rewind a bit. Holy shit. Originally, I didn't like how the main character was female because I felt like, oh, look here, another girl boss story, right? I already went on that rant. But I changed my mind. It really, really works as a female main character because it's playing off the whole damsel in distress trope, hence the name of the movie, right? And it's playing off the trope of dragons kidnapping princesses. Like, what is the reason a dragon would want princesses? Here's one, vengeance, right? And so it being a princess main character that comes into her own and ends up breaking the cycle of hatred and ends up defending the dragon at the end, even if it's a bit rushed or whatever. It's like, that's great. This was a good storyline. I can see the potential to this plot. that you've come up with. The concept of a dragon wants princesses because she wants to kill them for vengeance because her young in turn were killed by the king from many, many centuries ago. Like, this is a good starting point. I just feel like where they could have gone with it, where I would have gone with it, would have been to make it a bit more of an emotional story that talks about forgiveness and healing and past trauma and moving forward and that kind of stuff. And instead they made it a big scary monster chasing a girl who gets into a lot of pain and a lot of injuries, but it's okay. Eventually she kills the evil queen. Had they wanted to do a different genre of story, less of an action monster flick, this was basically a monster flick where the dragon was humanized just barely enough to have some sympathy and be able to, have voice lines to be able to talk to the main character, rather than your traditional monster story where the monster is just a wild, ravaged beast. So like, oh no, it's wild, it's evil, kill it, right? Rather than doing an action animal flick, I would have done a more emotional, learning about past trauma kind of story, which would have involved a lot more humanizing characteristics, such as the fact that she still has the mother-like qualities and she really starts to bond with one of these daughters. Like, as much as I love the stepmother character, the Elodie's stepmother character, maybe don't have her so that these two girls don't have a mother. Maybe the dragon becomes borderline surrogate, not full on mother, but more like an aunt after the fact. There's a lot more things that could have been done with it than just the sheer action flick that they did. Right? Explore the dragon's maternal instincts a bit more. Have them talk out the past trauma in a bit more detail. Learn about not necessarily forgiveness, because you can't really forgive, first off, people who are hundreds of years already dead. Also the crime of just walking into your house and killing your children and then being like, show me mercy. No, it's no, there's no mercy for that. But at least you can talk about the concept of healing and letting go of past trauma and that kind of stuff.
I want to this has nothing to do with the movie, but I would love to be in that universe and just release 3 or 4 babies, the age where they can walk, but that's it. 4 or 5 years old.
Release the babies.
Release 3 human children into the dragon's cave and see what the dragon would do. Would the dragon kill them, or would it be babies and take care of them? Because with Floria, the prince even said she's too young, it won't work. The dragon will understand that this is not the right age for a princess, right? And so, and then the fact that when the dragon captured Floria and seemed to be quote unquote taking care of her, that leads evidence to the fact that, yeah, the dragon understands something's up, but this is obviously related to the other one, so I'm going to keep her safe. But was being very gentle and caring with her. And it's man, I would love to see, I would just love to be, a fly on the wall and just release 3 babies, human babies, into that cave with the dragon and see what the dragon would do.
Release the babies!
I would be curious as to whether the dragon would be like, what the fuck? But, well, they're gonna die if I don't do something, and then take care of them? Or just be like, ugh, and just... I'm just very curious as to what the dragon would do in that universe.
But yeah, I guess to sum up my thoughts, it's a good premise, but I don't like what they did with it.
To sum up my thoughts, great movie, love it, 10 out of 10.
Would change nothing.
Would change? Well, no, I would absolutely add that scene that you talked about with them sitting in some field or something, and
the talk of what now.
The talk of what now. I would absolutely add that scene in.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this movie will probably never get a director's cut, but oh my god, if it ever did, that needs to be in it. There were a couple scenes in the movie that made me roll my eyes super fucking hard. One of which is a GIF I just posted into our Discord, and it's when the camera is looking directly up at Elodie, and then above her the dragon is flying in slow motion, probably 30 feet above her. And
you can't fly that slow and not fall.
Yeah. So Elodie, after the castle is literally engulfed in an inferno and collapsing, Elodie is slow walking, doing the superhero slow walk away from the explosion
Hmm.
down the main bridge of the castle, and the dragon is
Yeah,
slowly
I hated
flying
that
over
scene just
her.
for its trope.
Yeah, and I was like, oh come on, the fucking the fucking slow walking away. Like the only time that's ever been funny or cool or awesome was in the other guys when they start slowly and the blast like makes them fall and they're like, oh my god, that was scary. Why do people do that? Um, but yeah, it's there were a lot of scenes that were just super fucking tropey.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, you can look at that scene, like the GIF that you posted, right there. That dragon's neck is so freaking thick.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, you love Basilgeist though, and Basilgeist's neck is that thick.
I, Maybe, kind of. The weird thing is, like, I don't know how thick Betelgeuse neck itself is. It looks bigger because it's got all the pine cones attached to it. If you were to basically shave him, like, how thick would his neck be then? Anyway, I think we're done talking about this. We're kind of like trying to dig for stuff now, and we're going over old territory. So we're okay to close it out?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for listening to us talk about the movie Damsel. A lot of raised rants, which you may or may not agree with. If you want to discuss with me and tell me why I'm wrong and how we still need more women empowerment, Ray, how dare you, right? There are certain ways you can get in contact with me, which Bantam will tell you now.
Oh, right. So you can get in touch with us through our email at wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. We do have a Patreon at patreon.com/worldofdragonspodcast. The best way to get in touch with us is going to be the Discord, and that will be linked in the show notes.
Yeah, if you want my personal Discord, I'm Demon Answer on Discord and Telegram.
Seeing as we don't have to give fucking numbers anymore.
Yeah. Also, I think on Twitter, but I hardly ever log on to that.
And
I think once a month I'll log on to just look at some stuff real fast, but whatever's.
Yeah, and I'm Bantam Crow on Discord. But I don't really talk much on Discord because I prefer Telegram.
Which, do you want to hand that out?
Yeah, sure, fuck it. My Telegram
Bird
is
Snake.
@BirdSnake.
Yep.
Yeah, if you ever want to get in touch with me, Telegram is the way to do it. I barely ever check the Discord. I sometimes check the Discord like once a week, and I'll just clear out all the messages unless I'm flagged, like if someone @s me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like Discord. One of my friends just got hacked, and so he went through the whole routine of warning everybody, don't listen to me, block me, blah blah blah, and it's like, stop fucking clicking on stupid shit on Discord. People constantly go after Discord for, scamming. No one does that on Telegram.
Probably because it's not as popular.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth the effort. Just wait till it becomes popular, then we'll start scamming. But yeah, so if you would like to get in contact with me, I would love to discuss some of these concepts with you guys. I enjoy this discussion. It helps me with my own personal world building. And if you think I need to be educated, then by all means, I would enjoy being educated. I have some thoughts, I have opinions, and they could very easily be wrong. Also, if you are an author and you have something you want us to review, that's how you can get in contact with us, because that's what we're doing next week. We are doing a book that was written by someone in our Discord. We're doing the book Smash the World Shell by Daniel Fliederbaum, which I am going to go real fast to its Amazon page, I guess, or a Goodreads. I'm going to go to its Goodreads to find the synopsis, because I don't actually know what it's about. I know it's a dragon and a human. I think they're both female, but I don't know what the storyline is. I'm just going to read this out loud, right? A fractured world, an impossible friendship. When a mysterious ring suddenly appears on a reclusive teenager Ellen's bookshelf, she is granted the power to travel miles away from everything she's ever known. There she meets Shard, a friendly dragon who offers to help Ellen grow her stunted since-birth magic. Although it seems too good to be true, Ellen accepts. Ellen accepts. Sure, she can conquer her self-hatred by becoming an accomplished magician. Little does she know, her magical voyages have raised the suspicions of those who would destroy her. Young and lonely, Shard is determined to find his first friend in Ellen. But befriending a creature as detested as a human could spell banishment from his tribe, or worse. As the bond between them grows, they will have to face their deepest fears. If they can't, their friendship is doomed, along with any chance they have of saving both their kinds from annihilation. Alright, so this sounds like it's a friendship of convenience, and we're going to save the world in the future kind of story. I haven't read it, so I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but that's kind of what it sounds like. But yeah, he gave us some review copies, so big thank you to that. And so we're going to cover this now, and we'll let you all know what we think once we've actually read it.
Yeah.
But until next time, I guess we'll see you guys later.
Until we figure out what to call you.
Bookworms.
Call you bookworms for this episode.
Hatchlings, acolyte, aspirants.
Kobolds.
Food.
No, not food.
Alright. Well,
Juice boxes.
Juice boxes. Hello, my little juice boxes.
It's a deep cut from an older episode.
Yeah, so with context, that's horrifying. Without context, that's oddly sexual, and I don't know how much I like it. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Bye-bye.